Welcome back to my channel. This is Jacqueline Edwards, and as always, I am delighted you are here. Thanks for watching the videos, for sharing the content, and leaving your comments. I truly appreciate you. Well, without further ado, we're going to jump right into this week's discussion where I'm going to be talking about stories. Stories. We inherit stories from our culture, from our family, the family we were born into, from our educational system, from our society. I mean, there's so much stories we are inheriting and we're not even conscious of a lot of it, right? But what I found is what's more important is the story we tell ourselves. The story we tell ourselves is the one that we're living, is the one that we are experiencing life with, right? So, I share very extensively about my trauma, which started into my childhood, and my trauma persists, my pain persists well into my adult life. It persists because it was all I knew, pain. And so, what I found in my life, I was seeking out pain. The people I would have conversations with, some of them were the people who caused me pain. And probably in my way of trying to talk about it, to discuss it, or to express myself, what I didn't realize was I was really reinforcing more pain and living in this place of pain. It was all I knew well into my adult life, right? So even when there were good things happening to me, a lot of good things were happening, but I could not really capture and store that joy within me because I would reach out to these people. I would reach out to these people to talk about this joy, and eventually those conversations ended up talking about my trauma. So I, instead of now capturing this joy, I was actually canceling out my joy because I didn't know how to keep it. Whew. And when I came to that realization, I still didn't know how to break that cycle. So I lived in this place of really canceling out joy because I didn't know how to keep it and store it within me. And I remember this happening many times, whether, I had gotten a job or whether I'd gotten a promotion. It felt so good, but immediately I would pick up the phone and want to share this excitement. And all of a sudden, I just felt the pain coming back and coming back and coming back. But I did not know how to break through. It wasn't until one day I was listening to a podcast, and I really hope, I wish I remember who this woman was. And she said something so profound that I captured it and I held on. And what she said was, I did not know I was addicted to pain. When she said that, it blew my mind. And I'm so glad I didn't look at it and say, that's for her and not me. I'm so glad that I captured it. And I held on to those words, addicted to pain. And what I realized is no, that wasn't just about her. That was also about me. Because when you don't know what you don't know, sometimes God will send somebody. And I would, just like what I shared last week in my podcast, I said that's a destiny helper. God sent me somebody just to say those few words, addicted to pain. I captured those words and I had to wrestle with those words. And I came to the realization that was me. I was addicted to pain. When we think about addiction, we think about so many other things and we say, oh, that is that person is addicted to this. But I never once thought about addiction to pain. And that was where I was. And so how did I break through that, right? I really spent a lot of time reflecting on it. And I remember all those instances where I felt joy. and how I felt the joy dissipate out of my body when I would make these calls, and how I just cancel it out. I remember those instances, and I said to myself, there's something I have to do differently. There's things I have to do differently. First, I have to stop calling these people. Secondly, I need to feel the joy and store my own joy. And so I love nature. I love nature. And I start to think about what the leaves go through when they capture sunlight. They capture that sunlight and they store it within the leaves. They close that pores and capture it and store it. And so I learned from that. And I said, I have to figure out a way how to capture my joy and keep my joy. And so I would allow myself, whenever joyful things happening to me or certain experiences, I would capture it and I would store it and I would feel it welling up inside of me, and I would say, no, this is for me. I need to feel this. And I think a lot of it too had to really understand that God wants me to be joyful. The opposite of pain is joy. And so I had to really seek the Lord to help me to resist not wanting to call somebody, resist not wanting to call and share this thing, but to help me to capture it. And I would feel joy just filling and flooding my mind and my body. And I would just have to sit there with it and say, no, this is my portion. Joy is my portion. And so I learned how to restrain myself, how to keep that thing. And so as I start to capture it and I start to rewrite the story, I start to live in that moment. And I start to realize I can be addicted to joy. I had to rewrite that foundation. Our foundations are so important. The stories we tell ourselves are so important. Patterns are so important. And so I had to live in that place where I can laugh with myself. I can feel that joy. And I lived in that place for so long that now when it comes to celebrating others, I so celebrate. I can feel joy welling up inside of me because I now live in that state of joy. It's truly amazing. It's truly amazing to live in a place of joy, to live in that place of empathy, to live in that place of self-compassion, because that's all the things I had to do for myself to get to this place of joy. So I just want to challenge you. I pray that I can just help you to really think about some things, and maybe you can question yourself. Are you addicted to pain, not knowing it? So I hope my story blessed you, that you don't have to stay in that place. You don't have to stay in that place, because God wants us to feel joy, unspeakable joy. Joy is our portion, and we have to learn to capture it, store it, and keep it until you become. Keep it until you become. So I hope this bless you. I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed week. Until next time, you take good care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.